Hello, guys. Welcome to another exciting episode on Pious Football, where I bring you the latest in transfer news. We do a tactical analysis of games and also talk about pertinent issues around football that you don't hear on mainstream European media now. It's been a very long weekend. We are back again. And also, I would like to do a quick recap of Champions League games played on Tuesday and Wednesday, a recap of match day two, Champions League highlights. And then we'll also add one or two stories making up the headlines, very important news in the footballing world coming up to you right now on Pious Football. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video, to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. So let me start my first story today at the camp of Manchester United, another new low for the Old Trafford faithful, who succumbed to a 3-2 defeat at home to Galatasaray. That was the first time Galatasaray are actually winning a game in England. The first time Manchester United are losing an opening game in the Champions League at home. A lot of very bad records broken on Tuesday evening at Old Trafford. Eric Ten Hag calling for togetherness, with the fans, and informing the fans that the club, from the board level to the technical team and the players, are all trying to pull together in the same direction. But it's kind of very difficult to deal with the situation as fans of Manchester United are, bemoaning, the difficult spell that Eric Ten Hag is going through in his second season. Mind you, he had a fantastic first season at Manchester United, winning a trophy for the first time in 8 years. So, I mean, the jury is out. People are saying that Eric Ten Hag needs to be sacked, but the understanding from the boardroom is that they are going to stick with the manager. They believe that the problems that the team is going through right now goes beyond replacing a manager. They believe that it has to do with a club culture that is toxic, that the manager is working tirelessly to deal with, the issue of player power, the issue of overall mediocrity, players not willing to give 100% on the pitch, making excuses for, their the way they play, sometimes a bit absent-mindedness, losing focus, and it showed in the game against Galatasaray that the players were trying to win the game, but at the same time they lacked a very important organization that is needed, to keep wins in important games at the highest level in the Champions League. Wonderful goals by Rasmus Højlund, who actually is the only bright spot in a very dark period for Manchester United. And then also, if you look at the whole game overall, the tactics that was deployed by Eric Ten Hag. Obviously, there are those who believe that the manager is at fault and that all the blame should be laid at the doorstep of the manager. There are those who believe that he is not a manager who is able to coach big players in the dressing room. He doesn't have the experience to coach big players, big names, and that the fact that he's having issues with the big names at Manchester United is kind of a problem. I disagree with that assertion. Number one, I think that he's having a very good time managing all the big players at Manchester United. Jadon Sancho is not a big player in my estimation. I think that he's managing Varane, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes very well. I think they are the only big players in the team right now. The only world-class players at Manchester United. Varane, Casemiro, and Bruno Fernandes. So, as far as I'm concerned, he has no problem managing egos at the club. What he is doing now is trying to set a set of standard and discipline. But on the tactical side, those who say that Ten Hag is not good enough for Manchester United are saying that his tactics are not working. But if you look at the situation, I think that the fact that he's playing Amrabat at left back has to do with the fact that we are dealing with some serious injuries. All our natural left backs are injured. We signed Sergio Regulon from Tottenham Hotspur to come in as a stopgap left back until the January transfer window, 6 months loan deal. But he unfortunately has also gotten himself injured. So it happens that we have to play Amrabat at left back. But there are those who are saying, and I agree with those people, that I think that it's time to usher in Maguire back into the team. I know it's kind of a bit unpopular opinion among United fans, but I think it's time to bring Maguire back in the defense. If you play Maguire and Rafael Varane as central defenders, and then you put Diogo Dalot in the left back position, and then take Lindelof to the right back position, I think that it will help stabilize the back line a bit. And then also the fact that you have Casemiro and Amrabat in midfield will kind of provide that security for the front four, especially the central defenders, with Maguire, who is kind of lacking a lot of pace. Amrabat in front of him, I think, will shield him, and he will have a pretty decent game, if you ask me. So I think on the tactical side, that is what I would do. I also don't. I have said this on Pious Football that I find it strange that he plays Bruno Fernandes on the wing. Bruno Fernandes is most effective when he's playing from the middle. When he's playing, as a number 10. With so much, of the game moving through him, with his important passes in the final third. I think that playing Bruno Fernandes on the right wing is actually a mistake. And then I think also that, it is time to start Garnacho. And I know there are people who say that when Garnacho starts, he doesn't really play well, that he's most effective when he's an impact substitute. But I think the situation right now demands that we play Garnacho because he's the only natural winger we have who is full of confidence. You know that Rashford, we depended on him a lot last season. He scored 30 goals overall in all competitions. But at the beginning of the season, I mean, he hasn't been scoring, and he seems to have taken a bit of confidence, kind of suffering from lack of confidence right now. And I think it comes back to my overall assertion that the club actually needs serious mental fortitude. You need to build mental fortitude among the players. Like I said, I think that Garnacho and Rashford, being deployed on the wings for now would help. I don't think that Anthony is in the right frame of mind to start games right now. So if you play Garnacho on the left wing and Rashford on the right wing, and then you play Bruno Fernandes as a number 10 with Hoyland ahead of him, I think it will be good for us. I think that Garnacho on the left wing will offer more cutting edge and cause danger to the opposition than Rashford is currently doing right now. So overall, I think that the rumors coming out at Old Trafford after the game, from the usual places that Eric Ten Hag is kind of complaining that he is finding it difficult to be a bit more stern with the players because he feels that they don't have the mental capacity to take any form of harsh rebuke, that he feels that the team mentality is very fragile at the moment, and that he feels that criticizing them even more because of the mistakes they are making at the back is going to cause them problems now. I think that overall it's kind of a very difficult moment for everyone involved, from the technical team to the board, to the manager himself and the players. I feel sorry for Andre Onana right now. He seems to be a scapegoat for many United fans because of the mistakes he's been making, and the fact that, De Gea was kind of loved faithful to a lot of the United fans out there feel that De Gea should have stayed. But like I said in my previous episode on Pious Football, De Gea is a relic in modern football, and that is probably the reason why he's still at home and has no club. And the news coming out right now is that David De Gea is considering retiring from football because he's not having the offers that he thought he would have. And it comes back to what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in an interview with The Athletic, that there are a lot of players who are in the team who see themselves in a way that they shouldn't see themselves. They see themselves more than they ought to see themselves. And, aside Jadon Sancho being, I'm sure, the target of that comment, some of the players, I mean, David De Gea, is beginning to feel the reality of his real footballing qualities. Okay, so you are at Manchester United, you are a legend, you are respected, and then one moment the club says we don't want you because you don't play a system, you cannot play a system that a new manager wants, and then you are at home expecting to receive calls from several clubs because you think you are a great goalkeeper, all to realize that no team is calling you because the way you play is actually archaic. It has we've gone beyond that kind of goalkeeping, and I think many United fans need to see the reality of the situation. For many of the Manchester United players, a lot of them are playing with a sort of mentality that is not helping them because it looks like they are, you know, way above reproach. But the reality is that they are ordinary players right now, and Manchester United currently is just an ordinary team. Nothing extraordinary about the team. If you look at the way Newcastle played against PSG, which I'll be talking about very soon, you realize that it takes more than just talent to excel at the top level. And that is what Eric Ten Hag is struggling with, trying to get the players to play with passion and drive for the love of the club is currently very difficult. I want to move on. If you want to talk about Manchester United, we'll spend all day here. Real Madrid showed class by beating Napoli 3-2 away at Naples. Jude Bellingham with a very fantastic goal. I mean, the guy surprised everyone. Carlo Ancelotti said that Jude Bellingham has surprised everyone at the club. Many of us knew Bellingham was a great player. He was going to be great at Spain, but we didn't expect this sort of top performance. And he's shown that the way he's playing right now in a sort of a number 10 position as the arrowhead in a diamond midfield. I mean, it's fantastic, and it's nice to see that Vinicius is also back from injury and also on the score sheet. So Real Madrid are showing why they are the most successful club in the Champions League. Class is permanent. They don't have a striker, but they are making do with what they have, and so far so good for Real Madrid. Arsenal suffered a shock away loss to Lens in France. Bukayo Saka coming off injured, so more injury to Mikel Arteta's side, who were looking to challenge for the EPL this season, but they are struggling with injuries. A lot of the players are currently out. So I mean, this is their first loss of the season, either in the Premier League or in the Champions League. So I'm sure that they will have to go back to the drawing board and sort of get back to their winning ways over the weekend. So let's see if Bukayo Saka's injury is not serious, because if it is, it will really affect them because he's a main part of how Arsenal plays. So you can see when he was off injured that Arsenal lost a bit of sharpness in their attack. So I think that Mikel Arteta would have to find an alternative to Bukayo Saka, assuming that he will not be available to play in the next few weeks. Also, I think Inter Milan also getting a very crucial win at home to Benfica. Remember, Benfica are the sort of they are rivals in the group to top the group. So if you beat Benfica at home, it's always good. I mean, also I think that Marcus Thuram also on target for Inter Milan. He was really excellent today, and he continues, his bright start to his career at the San Siro. So, good move for Marcus Thuram, and also I think a very crucial victory for Inter Milan. They were finalists last season, so you would expect them to qualify from the group stage. Bayern also stamping their authority in the group where Manchester United, Galatasaray, and Copenhagen are playing to, qualify for the next stage. Bayern won 2-1 away at Denmark. Copenhagen proved to be a very difficult opponent for Bayern, but the Bavarians prevailed. Another late goal by Marcus Tell. It seems to be sort of a super sub for Bayern Munich, the young 18-year-old French boy. He's really, had a very successful spell thus far. I made an episode about him, and I said that Matustel is one of the, Matustel is one of the stars of the future, one to look out for. And it's nice to see that he can come on and then be a game changer. And yesterday he really was the game changer, scoring that crucial goal for Bayern Munich to record that crucial away win against Copenhagen. I think Newcastle today, this evening, Newcastle played PSG, and it seems like PSG got hit by a Tyneside typhoon. If you ask me, they didn't know what happened. They were immediately referee blew the whistle for the start of the game. The whole atmosphere at the St James Park was electric. And it looks like the PSG players never recovered from the initial shock of the first goal by Almiron, scoring the first goal for Newcastle in over 20 years in the Champions League for Newcastle United. The last time they scored the Champions League goal was by Alan Shearer at the San Siro in 2003. So 20 years on, Newcastle are back in the Champions League with a big bang, and it's really exciting to watch them this evening. I was really excited from the start of the whistle to the end. I mean, it was an electrifying game all round. I mean, local boys Dan Ben and Matty Longstaff were on the score sheet. So, I mean, overall, it was a memorable night for Newcastle fans, and for those of us who are the neutral, who watched the game, we really enjoyed it. Although pretty disappointing, PSG didn't really come into the game until late in the second half, when Lucas Hernandez, scored and sort of a bit of a consolation. But at the end of the day, I think that PSG would have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to continue winning. Definitely, they'll top the group, but from what Newcastle have shown so far, scoring 4 against PSG and drawing at the San Siro, I mean, looks like they are going to be a very tough opponent, a tough opponent to beat. Now, if they can get a win against Dortmund, back-to-back wins against Dortmund, they are on course to top the group, which is quite surprising because many people thought that Newcastle were going to be the whipping boys when the group, was announced last year. But it looks like Newcastle United are in for the long haul in the Champions League, and I want to give kudos to Eddie Howe. He's done really well with, the players. But overall, all the massive commendations should go to congratulations to all the Newcastle players. They could see the passion that they were playing with, the kind of drive. Almiron, they were running, they would run like hell. These players run like hell, and that is what you don't see in Manchester United players. They're running, they are very lazy, they don't run. They think that they have talent, so they don't need to work. I think that it's synonymous with the club culture post Fergie that Eric Ten Hag is trying to deal with. But overall, I think Newcastle fans can pat themselves on the back because they have players who are willing to die for the team. So it's all good. We want to talk about Barcelona recording a very crucial late win against Porto. Actually, it was late in the first half. I think 45 minutes plus injury time in the first half when the goal scorer Ferran Torres came on for the injured Lewandowski. I think he was injured around 35 minutes into the first half, worrying injury. But I think that the scenes after the game, he was shown limping around the Estadio do Dragao after the game. But once he's not in clutches, it's always good news that the injury might not be as serious as we expect, as was initially thought, because he went down pretty bad. And you could see his facial expression that he feared that it might be a long-term injury. But, he walked off the pitch and he was seen limping around the stadium after the game, which shows that it's not really that serious. Because if it was in clutches, it would have been a bit more damning. But for now, we will have to assess the injury after 24 hours. When that is the usual, when a player is injured, we wait for 24 hours for the swelling to come down. And then you go into the under the x-ray to analyze the situation to see if it's going to be a long-term injury or not. But overall, I think that Barcelona got away with the win that is very crucial to them in their qualification. Man U, they've had a very torrid time in the Champions League for some time, so they are looking to make a big return this year. red card to Gavi in late embers of the game. So I don't know how it will affect them in their next game. And then also another bit conspicuous story about the game was when I think Lamin Yamal, the 16-year-old who just recently signed a new long-term contract. I think it's for a 16-year-old. The law stipulates that you sign 3 years, but there is an agreement behind the scenes at the Camp Nou, where after the 3 years, when he turns 18, he will sign a long-term contract until 2030. So that agreement is already, been signed behind the scenes, but officially he signed a 3 year contract, which is the law. You can't offer more than 3 years to a 16-year-old. So I mean, this is the first time he's starting a Champions League game. He played for 80 minutes, but I think somewhere in the 71st minute he went off. He wasn't injured. The information is that he went to the toilet, and then he was there for quite some time. So for 9 minutes, Barca played for 10 men. They play with 10 men, and then Xavi had to bring on Marcos Alonso because Lamine Yamal wasn't coming out from the dressing room, so he had to be replaced. But overall, Barca getting a very important victory for them. Also, City also won against RB Leipzig from Germany. They went away to win, crucial away win for them. Remember, City had suffered 2 losses on a row for the first time this season. They lost to Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, and then also they lost to Wolves in the league. So people thought it was going to be a bit tricky visit to the Bavarians, but it wasn't. City dominated the game 1-3-1. Phil Foden on the score sheet after hitting the crossbar from a set piece. And then I think, overall, Doku was also on the score sheet. So it's all good for the new signing. And City are riding high. And obviously, they are going to top the group. They are favorites this year again for the Champions League after, winning the Champions League last year. So kudos to the City, faithful. So that's about it for in the Champions League. I think Dortmund and AC Milan drew. So I mean, it puts Newcastle in a very good position, in their next game against Dortmund. So let's see how that goes. Another important news I want to talk about on Pious Football this evening is the fact that the World Cup 2030 has finally been awarded to Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. But the news here is that since it's going to be the 100th year of the World Cup, remember that the World Cup was initially played in 1930, was hosted by Uruguay, in 1930. The World Cup will be played officially by 3 nations: Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. But because of the commemorative, celebratory, centenary of the World Cup, it will be played. They will have 3 celebratory games to be played in 3 South American nations: Uruguay, who are the first country to host the World Cup in 1930, and also the first winners of the World Cup, and then Argentina, and then Paraguay. So 3 South American countries will play just a single game to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the World Cup, the centenary of the World Cup. And then the rest of the games will be played by the 3 nations who are officially been awarded hosting rights for the 2030 World Cup, which is Paraguay, Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. So officially, it will be played across 6 countries and 3 continents. So it's kind of a celebration of football. Everyone is going to enjoy the game, and then everyone has the right to enjoy the game of football because it's a gift to the world. And so, World Cup being the topmost competition in football in the world, it's really good that we're going to have all these 6 nations, hosting at least a game in the World Cup, and then bringing the World Cup to the people. I think that FIFA would have to look at the rights that they gave to television stations to show us the World Cup, because I think although the World Cup in Qatar has been the best World Cup that has been organized thus far, there were issues with television rights. Okay, the average people, the average common person who loves football was struggling to watch a game on TV because of the hosting rights. Sorry, the viewership, the telecasting rights, the right to telecast the World Cup. So I think that money should not be too much a hindrance to, making the World Cup accessible to everyone who cannot go to the stadium to watch the game of football. So I think that FIFA would have to spread the television rights so wide, to the point where everyone can actually sit at the comfort of their homes and watch a game of football, because World Cup is for everyone. So I think that overall it's good by FIFA, good move by FIFA. Mind you, that the next World Cup will be hosted in 2026, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, sorry, by the Americans, North Americans, United States of America, Mexico, and Canada. And then that presupposes that the 2020 to 2034 World Cup will be left to, I think, Asians and I think Middle East Asians, and I think the Oceania region. So I think that Saudi Arabia and Australia will probably contest for the 2034 FIFA World Cup. So let's see how that goes. But overall, it's a good move by FIFA. I think Uruguay, being the first nation to host the World Cup in 1930, having another World Cup event in their country in 2030 on the 100th year anniversary is actually a very good move. And also I think that the World Cup continent is also actually a very good move for FIFA. And then also I bit about the Euro 2028. Mind you, Euro 2024, which is next year, will be hosted by Germany. Now the next tournament, the Euros 2024, will be hosted, Euro 2028, sorry, will be hosted by England and I think Ireland. So Belfast and a lot of the nations in, so a lot of the the cities in the UK will be hosting the 2028 Euros, but Old Trafford will not be hosting any of the games because there will be redevelopment going on at the time, hopefully. So all right, so thank you very much for staying with me. This is Pious Football. So don't forget to like the video if you loved watching what I have delivered, and also subscribe to the channel. It's very important for me that you subscribe to the channel so that I can keep bringing you the rich content information that you need on everyday football and everyday activities around football. Thank you very much for staying with me. Bye.